Hello students, welcome to the class 5th of our PT65 Environment series. Now, as you all know, we have already covered this climate change topic in our first and second videos, and then after that in our third and fourth video we discussed this pollution topic, and this topic is already over in our first to fourth part of the PT65 series. Now today we will start with our fifth class on the topic biodiversity. Okay, in this video I will explain the basic concept of biodiversity, and then from the next video we will start from the recent happenings and news, and we will keep on discussing these topics. Okay, I hope your studies are going on fine. Okay, now biodiversity part. So before starting this topic, biodiversity, I should give you the understanding of some basic concepts, basics of biodiversity. You should understand what this biodiversity is all about. Okay, now for this, let me take you to the another slide. Okay, so biodiversity, what the biodiversity is all about. Okay, what is biodiversity? Biodiversity, as you can see, biodiversity is a variety of flora and fauna on this planet of Earth. Okay, now consider some of the things. Consider like biodiversity is like animals, plants, okay, reptiles that you must have understood, read in your basic classes. These all are different. So plants are different from animals. Animals are different from reptiles. Reptiles are different from some other species of the animals or plant. Okay. Now every plant, every animal is different in itself. So this all different varieties are called biodiversity. Whole Earth is covered with different type of plants and animals, and hence this forms the component of biodiversity. What it includes? It includes all the life form, that is unicellular fungi, even the fungi, bacteria, and all the things, protozoa, bacteria, to multicellular organisms such as plants, birds, fishes, and animals. All the things, whether it is a unicellular or multicellular, all becomes a part of the biodiversity. Now, we have understood the concept of biodiversity. Now, moving to the what are the types, different type of the biodiversity. So, type of the biodiversity are three types. Okay. Now, first one is genetic diversity. The second one is the species diversity, and third one is ecosystem diversity. Now, we will understand every part of this. Okay. Now, first is genetic diversity. Okay, genetic diversity. So diversity at the level of these genes. Now you must know, or you have already been knowing that the all the plants, or or any life form, any life on earth is made of genes. Okay, genes. These genes are coded inside the DNA. Like DNA is a double helical structure. Okay, so this DNA, genes are present in this DNA. So these genes have some memory coding of all the attributes that can be that will be happening in the body of the organism. Okay, so these genes consider all the encoding of the proteins. Now moving ahead, so every plant or every element on the earth has different genes. Okay, so every plant, and so this is called genetic diversity. Okay, genetic diversity. Now you can see this, that like a dog. Take the example of a dog. One dog is completely different from another dog. Okay, at genetic level. So two dogs may appear to be white from their coat. Okay, they can appear to be white, but at the genetic level they are different. Okay, so you can also consider one generation, first generation, whether it is of a animal or a plant, and then when this generation gives rise to another generation, that is second generation, by reproduction. So it transfers its genes and DNA to the second generation. But still, this second generation is also different from its first generation at the level of genetic level. Genetic. Some of the genes will be different in this second generation than the first generation. This is called genetic diversity. Okay. Now moving ahead to the other component, that is second is species diversity. Species diversity. So every every animal or every plant have a certain species associated with it. Okay. Now now all the organism of us of a all the organism belong to a certain type of species, like tigers. Example, take the example of tigers. So all the tigers belong to the Panthera tigris species. So this Panthera tigris is a species. Okay, this all the tigers, whether they are genetically they are divergent, they are all are different in the genetic domain, but on the species domain all are called tigers and all belongs to the Panthera tigris family. This is called genes. So there may be different type of species. There may be diversity at the species level. Okay, now tigers are from the Panthera family. Okay, and you can also consider the example of, like, take the example of the snow leopard also. Snow leopard. So snow leopard also belongs to the same family, that is Panthera. But at the genetic level, this tigers are different than snow leopard. But family at the family and at the species level, they are both different. So sorry, at the species level they are same. So there is different varieties, there is different diversity at the species level in the same family, is Panthera. Okay. Now you have understood the species, you have understood the genetic diversity. Now what is ecosystem diversity? Ecosystem is diverse amount of amount of species within an ecosystem. Like you take the example of grassland ecosystem. Grassland. So grassland ecosystem has birds. Okay. Tigers. There may be deers. Okay. There may be grasshoppers. Okay. Grasshoppers. So this this diversity this diversity of habitats is different for all the species. It is different, hence this is called ecosystem diversity. This whole ecosystem is made of different diverse elements of plants and animals, so this is called ecosystem diversity. Okay, now hope you have understood the concept of all the diversities and all the concept of ecosystem. Okay. Now, having understood the concept of biodiversity, now we must concentrate our next topic, that is how can the biodiversity be measured. So there must be some metric to measure this biodiversity. Okay, so the biodiversity is measured on two levels. First is species richness, species richness, and second is the species evenness. Species evenness. Now, what is this species richness and what is this species evenness? Okay. Now we will take another example. Before we should also consider that what this species richness is. Richness is the number of species found in a numbers. Number of a certain species found in a geographical area is called species richness. Okay. So whatever the number, the greater the number, the the richer the species of that area. Okay. Now species evenness. What is evenness? Evenness is like different species are uh, so different species are present in a single single territory. Okay, like consider this a territory and different species are present. Okay, so species evenness sees how much what is the number, what is the species number of species of different species, number of species of number of animals of a different species, like tiger. If tiger number are 2, okay, deer number is 3, and other lion, okay, just consider as example, lion are 4. So this is like even, particular amount of evenness is there. So how this evenness is measured? Evenness is measured like number of species of a particular number of animals of a particular species. Like if I take the number of tigers, okay, the total number is tigers upon total number of species, total number of all animals of all species, animals or plants of all species. Okay, now if this number, if this ratio, you have got this ratio now, this is a ratio. If this ratio approaches to 0, okay, then this ecosystem is called diverse. Okay, there is evenness in the ecosystem. Otherwise, if this ratio approaches towards the 1, that is it is nearly 1, then species richness is not there. Okay, so consider an example, like in a habitat, if tigers are, just for an example, are 100, but another species like rabbit is present only 1, and no other species is there. So what is the this species evenness? Species evenness will be 100 for tiger, it will be 100 upon 101, which will be nearly about 1. Okay, so this this region does not have evenness of species, means tigers tigers are more as compared to other species. So that's why that's how this species evenness is measured. Okay, now I hope you have understood the concept. Now, species richness is also divided into three main components. Okay, let's see it on another slide. Okay, okay, now let's see the species richness. I already told you the species richness is number of species on a particular area. Okay, so this species richness can be of three types. Okay, now first is the alpha diversity. Alpha diversity. Okay, so alpha diversity. So how this alpha diversity is measured? Okay, so if, like, consider this is an area. This is an area A. Let's suppose this is an area B. Okay, so the number of species in this area, total number of species in this area is called is alpha diversity. Okay, now this is like species richness in a single ecosystem. This is called species alpha diversity. Okay, moving on, beta diversity. Beta diversity. Okay, now what is this beta diversity? So this beta diversity has is a concept like, if suppose tiger is present i- at a level of 3 in number in this ecosystem. Okay, now there is another ecosystem B. Here tigers are 5 in number. Okay, so this beta diversity gives the concept that the differences between this and this ecosystem in the terms of species diversity. Okay, so species, whatever the number difference of the number is there in this ecosystem A and ecosystem B is called beta diversity. So this beta diversity compares two type of ecosystem. Okay, now moving ahead is gamma diversity. Gamma diversity. So what this, sorry, diversity. Okay, so what this gamma diversity is all about? So gamma diversity is nothing but what it does. It does that it takes into consideration of all the ecosystems, all the ecosystem. Like this one is A, B, C, D, and all the there may be many type of ecosystem in this area. So this whole area is taken into consideration, and then species diversity is compared on this level within a region. So this is called gamma diversity. So you have to remember that alpha diversity is within an ecosystem, beta diversity is between two ecosystems, and the gamma diversity is on the level of region. That may include all the ecosystem within a region. So this is all about gamma diversity. Okay, now you have understood the what is biodiversity and what is the type of biodiversity. The next topic that we are going to deal with is the threats and loss of the biodiversity. Okay, okay, now we are taking the threats or loss of biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity. So loss of biodiversity is very important concept, because due to the climate change and other issues, the diversity of the species of the or our Earth are reducing at a fast rate. Okay, now what are the numbers? What are the figures? And what are the facts related to biodiversity loss? We will see in our current affairs section. Okay, but for the clarity of the concept, I'm just dealing the type of causes that are leading to the loss of biodiversity in this area. Okay, now what are the different type of reasons for the loss of the biodiversity? First loss and major important loss is habitat destruction. Habitat destruction. So habitat destruction is a concept like, uh, see, if consider this is the forest area, forest or wildlife area. Okay, now every area is covered with forest. Now due to some people came here and cut this forest and started practicing agriculture. Okay, so agriculture is being practiced here, but before that there may be some bird species or some species that must have liked this area very much and must be living in this area. So that will either be killed or that will migrate to another area. So the destruction of this habitat of this snake has led to the reduction in biodiversity of this snake's population because they are being killed. So the snake is just an example, but there may be some other species also, birds and reptiles and another species living in this area. So this is called habitat destruction. Okay. Now moving to the second cause. Second cause is of course deforestation. Deforestation. So due to deforestation, we are uh, we are reducing the area of the forest, and the space, the highest biodiversity rich areas are forest. Forests are very rich in biodiversity. Okay, now another cause is like development. So development leads to infrastructure. So infrastructure development leads to reduction in the leads to the taking over of the land, and hence whatever the biodiversity being harbored by this biodiversity harbored by this land is being threatened. Okay, this is because of development. Now moving ahead, like some of the reasons are also climate change. Climate change. So consider this example only. So if like consider this that because of climate change, now here there was a forest because in better climate. Now due to the climate change, like if consider if the heat in the area increases, so there may be some water bodies, their water bodies make dry. Okay, now the species living here will have to migrate to some other area where water may be there. Okay, so this is because of because of climate change. So climate change has reduced the water resources inside the ecosystems, and hence the species has to migrate, or in the migration they may get killed. Okay, so this is due to climate change, the reduction in biodiversity. Okay, so climate change has another dimensions also, like global warming also. Global warming. Okay, so due to global warming, the temperature of the earth may increase. So when the temperature increases, it leads to fires. That can be natural. So when the fire is there, the biodiversity gets burnt out. You may have heard the case of the Australian bushfires. Okay, in this bushfire, it was in approximately I think 2019 or 20. Okay, so in this forest fire, at least 1 billion species of plants and animals got burned. So this was the gravity of the situation. Okay. Now, moving ahead to what are the losses, what are other losses of the biodiversity are? Some of the other losses are like invasive alien species. Alien species. Okay, what are these species? These species are like the species which has migrated from their native place to other place. Okay, like consider the example of, just for an example, I'm not taking example of a species, I'm taking example of human. Okay, like if this is a boy, okay, this is a boy, and he's in the and like B is a parent of it. So this boy will not do anything wrong in his own family and his own house, because he knows that his parents are there to control him. Okay, now suppose if this A moves to another area where there is no control over it of his parents, then he can do anything that comes to his mind. Okay, so this boy may become uncontrolled. Okay, so this is the same concept of invasive alien species. So these species are species of animals or plants, so which moves to another area which are not its original area. So they multiply at a very fast rate, multiply at very fast rate, and hence the the species of this area where they have migrated to becomes endangered and maybe becomes extinct. So this, because of this, the biodiversity is being lost. So how this invasive species are moving? It is because of globalization. Okay, for an example, if I give you the example, there is Indian bullfrog. There is an example of, let me write it here. Example of Indian Indian bullfrog. So this is a frog species. It was very common in India. So due to the ship and ship movement to the Andaman, Andaman and Nicobar Island. So because of ship movements, some of the frog got carried away to the Andaman Islands. Now, when they moved to this Andaman Island, there was nothing which can stop them. Okay. Now, what they started eating all the fish species of this area, Andaman area, all the hen and their chicken, all they have started eating. So due to them, all these species of these fish, chicken, etc., are at the danger. So this Indian bullfrog has become invasive alien species in Andaman Nicobar, while it was not in invasive alien species within the Indian subcontinent. So this is the magnitude of the situation that I wanted you to know. Okay, this all about this. These are the reasons for the biodiversity loss. Now, moving ahead, how can this biodiversity can be conserved? Okay, conservation of biodiversity. Now, next topic is conservation of biodiversity. So, conservation can be done in two ways: in situ and ex situ. Okay, sorry, just forgot. Just pardon me for my writing. Okay, now ex situ. Okay, now what is in situ? In situ is like if conservation is done within habitat of is species. Okay, if consider this is a forest. Okay, forest area. If conservation of tiger is being done here only, okay, in this forest only, so where it lives, this tiger lives, then this is called in situ conservation. Okay, now what is ex situ conservation? If the same tiger which is living in this forest, okay, tiger, if this tiger is moved to a different area, example this zoo, and here this tiger is conserved and given the food and water or whatever it needs, so when this conservation of this tiger is being done here outside its natural zone where it has always existed, this is called ex situ conservation. Okay, I hope you have understood it. Okay, now moving ahead, so what are the different type of in situ and ex situ conservations? In situ conservation can take place in national park. Okay, national park, you must have studied this in your static syllabus. Okay, national park, wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, sanctuaries, or maybe done in community reserves. So these all are in situ conservation measures. Okay, now what about ex situ conservation? When the conservation is done outside this outside the area, outside its own living habitat area, is called ex situ conservation. So ex situ conservation can be done in botanical gardens. So botanical gardens are the gardens of a area where from uh, from wild animals, wild plants are brought here, which are on the verge of extinction, and they are grown in this botanical garden, and hence this garden becomes a hub for all the species of plants. Okay, which are being threatened. Okay, now moving ahead, zoo is also a ex situ conservation measure. Okay, now another ex situ conservation can be herbarium. Okay, okay, and another the concept that we are going to. Okay, so herbarium can also be herbarium is not a very directly related to the conservation measure, but it harvests the dried species. Okay, dried species. The seed banks can also be a best example of ex situ conservation. Okay, here seeds are brought from the different plant species and kept for next generation or whenever their need is there. Okay, sanctuary, community reserves. Okay, national park that we have already seen. Okay, some reserve forest may also, biosphere reserve may also come here. Biosphere reserve. Okay, I hope you understood the concept of the conservation now. Okay, so this was all about the conservation. Now in the next video we will start with our current affairs section. Okay.